We're going to be playing with or rather, we're going to play with two classes today, which is a hard opening sort of yin and yang portion of the class. And as usual, we're going to start with the yin, the more stretchy opening version of the class. And you're going to need some kind of support. I have blocks, but if you have books, dictionaries, things like that, it needs to be rather high. So there's a few things we need to do for the shoulders. You can alternatively use two little stools or chairs. As soon as you can rest sort of a good portion of your elbows or arms on it, then let your heart sink. That will be good enough. And you'll also be happy if you have a little pillow of some sort. That will help you just have a little bit more softness underneath the knee when we get to that. And as usual, if there's anything that doesn't work very well, skip it, change it into a different version, write in the comment, ask. Otherwise, yeah, we're going to start with a little supported shoulder stand. And grab all your toys around you and lie onto your back body. And I like to always start with just the tiniest movement. It's not so mechanical and it's not so much about a goal. We're not running anywhere. These movements are more about tuning into being still. So for me, today it's about wiping the knees from side to side, just to help my hips, my lower back, my stomach to find themselves. For you, it could be somewhere else, something else. No matter what it is that you need to do, help yourself find the body that you're lying, residing in right now. And if you're ready to find stillness, find a constructive rest position. Your knees are bent, feet slightly apart, and find your knees, inner thigh resting inwards towards one another. And notice the very strong and stark difference between being upright, sitting or standing or walking, versus being horizontal when you're lying flat. And feeling the amount of areas that your body is supported on the surface. And counting or collecting, listing in your mind where these areas are that are supported indeed. Feeling the bottom of your feet, the part of your feet, the pads of your toes, the shape, your footprint, the back of your sacrum, the hips, your shoulders, upper back, middle back. And feeling the weight from the back of your arm, back of the hands, and the back of your head. Noticing as you're just flat how this breath arrived to you. What kind of breath are you taking at the moment? And can you begin to becoming aware of the exhale each time? And feeling your chest releasing, softening downwards. Your face softening, jaw relaxing.
Maybe make the exhale breath a little bit longer. Just a fraction longer than the last one each time. And from here, begin to press your feet in the floor and lift your hips, your lower back, mid-back off of the ground softly. And we're going to place the support underneath your hips. And we're not finding quite a bridge, but this is going to be kind of like a shoulder stand with the support. So, and you can try different height. And I like to have a softness on top of these things. So I have a pillow just on top of my blocks as well. And finding stability, maybe holding onto it with your hands to start with. And begin to draw your knees one at a time, hovering it above your belly. Maybe even allowing your feet to reach towards your face. And there's many different ways to do this. You don't have to be here at this height. Some of us will do it a little bit higher, some of us will do it a little bit lower. If you're using something else other than book or blocks, sometimes a silver pillow can be a very useful tool. And the further up you put these supports on your back body, the further up you're going to be working on in your back of the spine. So for example, if I put it a little further up and still do the same thing, then I'm a lot higher in my upper back. And I have, very luckily, a wall behind me to help me stabilize my feet and help me feel more comfortable. So take your time to arrive and find what position feels the best for you. And noticing as you arrive that this shape feels very vastly different than the one before. How does your breath feel for you? Where do you feel this breath the most obvious, the most prominent? And maybe noticing how it feels in your head, your face, your jaws. Can you begin to soften across your forehead, your brow bones? Can you soften the sockets of your eyes? The muscles of your jaws and the insides of your mouth as well. Noticing as you inhale each time, the body kind of wave and flop and move a little. And noticing that heaviness. It feels like you're sinking to the floor. And those contact points of your body as you breathe out. And still making your exhales just a little bit longer than the inhales. And taking just the last few breaths right here. And to come out, bending your knees deeply again. Slowly roll your back onto the block, the pillow, and slowly releasing your feet down onto the ground. Noticing where you are, how this feels. And perhaps how different this breath is for you right now. When you're ready, press your feet and lift your hips one more time so that we can remove the blocks, the bolster, the pillows underneath us. Releasing your spine, your whole back, your whole hips back down. And when you're ready, softly roll through the side body and come onto your hands and your knees. Your wrists underneath the shoulders, your knees underneath the hips. I like to move when I come out of poses. So as you inhale, dropping your stomach, reaching your heart, lift the head, lift your bum. And exhale, rounding through the back, draw your belly in, front body in. Inhale, front body, stomach drop. And exhale, rounding. If there are movements that you prefer doing, your body is asking for you to do, go ahead and do just that. Any shape that makes sense to you. And from here, begin to calibrate, making your waves in the spine smaller, so that we're trying to find in our head where is the middle, or where we perceive as the middle. And walk your left hand just a tiny bit more forward. Draw your belly in. As you inhale, lift your right arm up and open this arm into the sky. And exhale, bend the elbow and touch your finger to the side or back of the skull. Now draw both of your buttock back, draw your belly in. And as you inhale, lift your right elbow straight up and feel the space in your upper back starting to light up. And exhale, pointing your elbow out to the side, down and through towards the left side. Do one more inhale, lifting elbow up, squeeze the upper back. And exhale, pointing out, down and towards the left. This time, releasing your arm all the way to the floor, back of the shoulder, back of the hand towards the ground. And making sure your whole shoulder is landing on the floor. So maybe that means you need to walk your arm a little further forward. Maybe it means you need to put a pillow underneath this arm, this shoulder. Just gonna adjust this mic. Now from here, draw both of your hips back and walk your left hand long and forward away from your hips. And to start with, we're just going to look underneath this armpit. And as we begin to arrive, we give your head a little turn, softening the side of your face, your neck, your jaw. And we'll go a little deeper. Press your bottom arm in the ground, open the chest, and walk this top arm towards behind the head, keeping the elbow straight. And the idea is that we're trying to slowly working towards left shoulder on top of right. We're trying to make this into a twist now. And notice as you're walking, this left hand behind your hip might just become loose. Can you draw both butt cheek in and finding what you consider as balance in your hips? And the option to stay here Or coming into a full rolling panda, tucking your left toe, lift the knee, and begin to walk this foot out to the side and maybe even forward, finding the fingers in front of you. If you can grab the foot, grab hold of the foot, and that will help you find a bit of traction. If you're grabbing and coming into full rolling panda, your top arm can walk even further back behind you, allowing you to tuck your chin and look up. So it becomes the back of your head on the mat. If you're grabbing hold of the foot, pull tight with your hand and begin to reach your heart back behind you, and you feel a quite intense tugging and pulling and stretching in your upper back, or the skin across the upper part of your back as well. And taking about 3 breaths more. And to come out looking down to the floor, placing your left hand in front of your face, releasing your left knee back down first. And softly pressing yourself up, pausing on your hands and your knees for a moment, taking in any reactions, any informations. And we'll do the opposite side, pressing, walking your right hand forward, one handprint, lifting your left arm, open chest, open arm, and bending at the elbows, fingertip touching the side of your skull or back of the head. Next inhale, lifting your left elbow higher and squeeze your back of the shoulder blade together, your upper back. And exhale, pointing your elbow out and down and through towards the right side. Just one more inhale, press down with your right hand. Left elbow open, squeeze shoulder blade. And exhale out and down and through to the right. And this time releasing your arm. Back of the shoulder down, back of the hand, side of your head. Giving your head a soft turn. Before you walk, reach your right arm forward. Exposing the underarm, looking over it. Pausing for a moment first, making sure this is comfortable where you want to stay, your shoulders supported. Once again, option to walk your right hand further back behind you. An option to lift your right knee. Keep your belly lifted though if you do that. And walk this foot towards the direction of your hand. And there's a good reason why this pose is called the rolling panda. If you do roll out, don't worry. Very softly come back in. But keep your belly lifting in your spine as you come up next time. If you're in your full rolling panda, you may choose to walk your right hand further back. Maybe even look up into the sky. Being careful that your chin is slightly into your chest and it's the back of your skull that's on the floor. If you're grabbing hold of your foot, reach your heart back. It's almost like you're falling a little bit into the skin of your upper back. We have 3 more breaths right here. And to come back out once again, rolling your head first, looking down. Placing your right hand in front of you, releasing your right knee on the floor again, and softly press yourself up on the hands and then your knees again. Pausing any need for space, movement, collect data.
Now from here, I'll give you two options for the next pose. We're trying to open up the front of the armpit, sort of connecting to your front chest area. And for some people, you feel plenty doing just a regular puppy dog pose, staying on your knees, walking your hands as far forward as you can. Notice your chest begin to drop. And from here, push your arm, shoulder away from the hips. And keep drawing your hips back when you drop your chest, your armpits, and your face towards the ground. Noticing we don't want any feeling of being stuck on the top shoulder. The sensation should be underneath your armpit, maybe a little bit in your chest, maybe even the side of your arm or side of your ribs. If you feel a little stuck, you may be a candidate to try a variation, which is what I'm going to do. I am going to get my blocks, and for me, I'm like very tight in my shoulders because of nursing these days. So I'm going to use my block, and I'm going to do this way instead. So it allows my shoulder blade to be open, a little bit untraditional, and I'm going to try to open this whole area. So your block should be about mat width apart if you do this version. And place your elbows on top of it, interlace your fingers, and walk until your knees are far back enough that you're starting to feel that your chest has to go down. It's the same principle, right? Press your elbow down, draw your hips far back before you're starting to drop your chest and your face towards the floor. And if you feel anything but stretch, you feel pinch or you feel stuck, think about pressing your outer elbows down to the floor and just very lightly keep reaching your hips up and back behind you. Very often it's about the positioning of where your shoulder and your shoulder blades are. So take any of these variations. If none of these works, the other option is to go to a door frame and grab your arms or hands over top of your door frame. So it feels like you're hanging on just your arm or your armpit. No matter where you are, you're going to stay here for a few more breaths and keep thinking about that activation, pressing your fingers or elbows down and keep reaching your hips and your back body away from the front. And this type of traction creates a very long-lasting impact in our flexibility, in our mobility. The last two breaths here, breathing right in the armpit, the front of the chest. And from here, no matter where you are, press elbow or fingers or palms down. Begin to lift your belly, looking down, lift your armpit, lift your chest to ease yourself out of that position. And as you come out, walk and sit onto your hips for a moment. Letting your arms just rest down and feel, collect information. How does that feel now? Maybe noticing sometimes the sensation is most obvious when you come out of it instead of while you're there. Now we're going to go a little bit further into the upper portion of the spine. So it's not in the shoulders anymore. It's somewhere here, and it feels as though it's very deep in your chest. And the basic shape look very similar to what I did just then. Your knees underneath the hips. And I'm going to bring my hands, fingertips towards one another. It's like a bulldog. And I'm going to place my chin on top of it. For some of us, this feels crazy. You are indeed trying to stretch from your chin all the way through the throat and all the way here. So you will lift a lot and you'll feel the back of your head drop to your back a lot. And that's normal. But for some of us, this doesn't feel very nice. Maybe it's too deep. And you have the option to have a pillow underneath your heart or a block. So any height that helps you to feel more accepted in this position is perfect. Can go without any of these things. Go ahead. Point your elbows a little further forward, your fingers a little bit more towards yourself. And keep pointing your elbow forward, pull your butt back as you drop your chin. And think about your chest, the very middle, the sternum bone, stopping down towards the ground. Noticing as you exhale, there's a very deep melting sensation from the back of the heart towards the floor. You should be able to breathe here. You should be able to somewhat enjoy this still. We're not taking too long, just about 3 breaths more. Once again, press your elbows down, draw your belly, hug your ribs, and just begin to round, lift your armpit, your chest, the back of your heart, the back of your neck. Ooh. And walk yourself to sit onto your heels again. Just a little moment here to sit, letting yourself to taste and really indulge in the space you've made. If it makes sense, if it feels nice, give your head a soft turn, side to side. And from here, we're going to go into a little bit more opening in your front hips and your front of the thigh. And you need that pillow. And it's a very good idea to use a wall. It really helps to get into the thigh. So find yourself a wall, pause your video if you need to, and put the pillow very close to it. And you'll be happy to have a little support for your hands. If you need to, grab your books or blocks. Now, with your feet facing the wall, or in my case, a closet, bring your right knee up into the leg of the wall. And your toes up in towards the wall. And step the left foot between the hands. And you want to make a really big step so your heel is staying somewhat underneath that knee. And from here, notice the difference between if you just slouch and let everything drop, how your knee and your hips will go into whatever direction they prefer, versus if you hug your legs, so your inner thigh hugging into the middle, hug your inner thigh together, and hug your left foot backwards towards yourself. And you feel a little bit more structured. And we'll do 2 stages of this. First stage, lift up first. Think about drawing your stomach in and up. So it feels as though your butt cheek is reaching down and you feel much more into your thigh and your quad. If you feel like crazy right here, walk your knee a little bit further away. So the less bend you are in that knee, the less you're going to feel in the thigh. And this is the first stage. We're going to keep pushing your butt back. And your heel can come a little outside of the right hip. And instead of letting your butt stick back, keep drawing the front of your stomach in and up. You might even be finding it helpful if you use your hand to grab your thigh, the right thigh, and pull the skin of your right thigh up in towards your hip crease and pulling it up in towards your stomach. It's like you're trying to go deeper with the help of your hand and pulling the skin and the fascia of your muscle. Relax your shoulders as best as you can. Dropping your jaw, your throat, and your tongue. And still taking that deep breath, noticing if you can make your exhale longer than the inhales each time. Now for the last few breaths here, can you even think about your right knee, the one on the pillow? pushing it into the pillow and pull your pillow forward without actually moving it. So energetically, you're trying to pull forward and you feel the front of your quad a little bit more. Last breath. And from here, bring your hands onto any support you can. Keep your legs hugged in and begin to drop your hips down into the space. And you're still very lightly hugging your inner thighs into the midline, and still very lightly hugging your left foot back and your right knee forward. And I like to walk my hands back a little so my chest, my heart is allowed to puff open as well. And with these more active, more intense poses, we're only staying for about 1 minute, but it's a long, very work-full minute. So keep breathing. It's only about 4 breaths more, and keep drawing your right knee forward, left knee back. And keep drawing your inner thigh towards one another. You're checking if you can relax your jaw more, your throat. Your last breath here. And slowly walking yourself forward, lifting your hands on the ground. Whew. Releasing your left knee down, releasing your right knee down. And staying on your hands and your knees for a moment. I'm warm. I'm feeling the difference between the 2 legs, 2 hips, and 2 thighs. And when you're ready, the left side, left knee all the way back to the leg, toes up. Your right foot between the hands. Grabbing your block somewhere handy, or your support somewhere handy. And once again, hug your legs all the way in towards one another first. And start with tilting the pelvis. Find somewhere in the middle that you can tilt, sticking your butt back to for a comparison. Versus if you draw your front of the stomach, front of the thigh away from the leg, from the floor. So feel your tailbone as if it's reaching down. Your lower back begins to broaden. And begins to sit your butt towards your foot. Option to use your hand to help the skin of your leg as you're trying to pull these pants up in towards your hip crease, up in towards your stomach, and use that to remind your belly to keep drawing in lightly. Noticing if you're holding tension in your shoulders now. What about your forehead? The space between your eyebrows. Can you relax inside of your gums of the teeth, the palate, and even the throat? Noticing even as these positions become active, your breathing still plays a very big part. It feels different. Your body moves and shifts as you breathe each time. And your last 2 breaths, once again using your left knee pressing against the pillow. Imagine you pulling your knee forward just a touch. Feeling the intensifying sensation in the thigh. And slowly coming into the hip flexors, sinking your hips down without slouching. Hug your legs, squeeze your legs. Landing your hands onto your front leg or support. And moving your shoulders back and down and away from the face. And as more intense the pose go, I really like to check how my neck feels. Maybe give your head a turn. Checking where, if you're holding any tension at all. Sometimes deep sighs really helps. Sometimes it flutters like horse sounds. I'm thinking about relaxing your jaws as best as you can. Relax the space between your eyebrows, forehead. And taking just the last 3 breaths right here. When you're ready, walking your hands down. Releasing yourself onto your hands and your knees. Ooh. Take a moment here, collecting data. Find whatever feels soft, delicious, and nice. Any movement that feels good for you, that feels necessary. And we're going to move into a side body opening. And sitting with your knees bent, facing one side, doesn't matter which side first, into a little mermaid position. Grab a pillow. And if your support is not in a regular shape, maybe it's a little bit wonky, then you might just use a pillow rolling up into a sausage. You have the option to use this as a combination, which is what I'm going to do, to make a little support. It's a little improv bolster underneath the side of your waist. You don't want it too high, somewhere low into where your soft part of your belly is. And you're just going to slide your side body across it. My recorder is right here. And keeping your bottom knee bent and reaching your arms and resting your head onto your arm as a pillow. Now your bottom knee is bent, your top leg is going to stretch long, flex the foot. And from here, your left top arm is going to reach up and over top, away from the foot. And keep lengthening through the heel of your right leg. An option to bring your leg a little further forward. Option to bring your leg a little further back, testing out which way feels deeper for you. Noticing as you breathe here, there's a sense of opening in your side body, the ribs, armpit. And soften your stomach, your front body as you relax. Inhale the side of your body open, feeling the space. And exhale your stomach, your ribs soften. And as you're getting used to this, if your top leg is getting tired, you might bend the knee, letting your knee drop in. And sometimes that will bring a little deeper sensation in your waistline, making sure that's what you want. If your knee feels a little dangly, maybe putting your foot underneath the top knee, give it a support. And still checking out that breathing, relaxing further in the back of your neck. Letting your whole head begin to trust the arm, the floor, the weight. Letting the side of your body wave and rock along with the breathing.
Noticing as your body relaxes more, trusting the ground, the support even more. The last 2 minutes, the last 10 long breaths here. And begin to get used to the idea of moving again, releasing your top arm in front of you, bending both of your knees. Using the laziest way, the most zombie-like way you can, pressing to come out. And sitting facing away from your supports for a moment. And find stillness as you sit for a second. And feeling as your body feeling through left and right side, any difference? How does that feel to come out of a long, still posture? And when you're ready, turning yourself the opposite way in your little mermaid. So your box, your setup stay. And once again, finding those support right next to your waist. Reaching your bottom arm, side of the body across and lying your head on top of the arm. And from here, reaching your top leg and your top arm up and over. Making sure your chin is slightly in so the back of your neck remains soft and spacious. Option to adjust where your top leg is, further out, further forward, further back. If you need to, you feel softness there, you may bend your top knee if that feels good for you. Once again, inviting your awareness to the side of your body, feeling this ribs side of your body, armpit open as you breathe. And making your exhales a tiny little bit longer. Inhale, feeling side of your body open. And exhale, lengthen with this breath. And feel your ribs, stomach, and your face soft. Collecting information, noticing if you're holding tension in the face, in your jaws, your hips. Can you let them go? And feeling the deeper layer of your body releasing towards the floor. It's almost like we're shredding from the most surface of our physical body into our bones, into the deep ends of our cells. In the last few breaths here. Getting used to the idea of moving your top arm in front of you. And taking all the time you need to press and roll yourself. Removing the block, the pillow, the support. And releasing yourself to lie onto your back body. And finding that constructive rest, just like we did in the very beginning of this class. And from here, press your feet and lift your hips just a touch. Moving this hip towards the right side, about a few inches. And lifting your knees above the stomach as you drop the knees down to the left into a twist. An option to press your elbow, lengthen through the spine so you're walking your chest, your head away. And from here, placing your left hand onto both of your legs and draw your right leg further forward in front of you. And from here, lift your right arm up and pull your shoulders away from the ground and reach it forward towards in front of you, rounding your back a little bit. And as you inhale, lifting your right arm up. And begin to make big circle back and feel your upper back, shoulder blade melting towards the ground. And inhale, lifting your right arm up. And exhale, reaching it forward, folding yourself, not twisting anymore. And inhale, lifting your right arm up. And exhale, open as you reach your arm back. Reach your right knee forward at the same time this time. So you're feeling yourself lengthening in two opposite directions. And one more just like that one. And reaching forward as you exhale. And inhale, right arm up into the sky. And exhale, keep sending the knee as you reach shoulder blade, arm down, stay here this time. And keeping your shoulder as low as you can, reach your arm up towards the top of your head. Inhale, feel your armpit, underarm lengthen. And exhale, bending the elbow, bring your right elbow closer towards your lower back. Inhale, reaching your arm up and away, front chest open. Next, exhale, bending, finding lower back maybe somewhere in the middle. And just a last movement like that, up. And bending the elbow down. Now, choosing how far you want this elbow to be. Noticing how high up your arm is changes how you feel in your front shoulder. And release your left arm to the floor. For those of us who feel pain in the lower back area when you twist, option to have a pillow between the legs. Option to stick your butt back a little bit. That usually takes away the intense sensation in the lower back. Noticing as you breathe, maybe breathe even deeper to the left side of the body. And how does this breath change the shape, how you feel? And to come out, squeeze your inner thighs together, draw your belly in. And slowly rolling from the upper back, your whole middle back, the whole lower back onto the floor again. Adjusting your spine, your hips so that you're in the center. And directly we'll do the opposite side. Press the feet, lift the hips. And this time slightly to the left a few inches. Knees in before you drop the knees to the right side. Walking elbow down to lift your spine longer. Maybe shoulder further towards the right if that feels good. And with your left arm lifting upwards, lengthening through the skin of your arm and reaching it towards where your right side is. Lengthen through this arm. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale, open, leading with the arm, shoulder, and feel your upper back reaching towards the floor. Inhale, lifting your arm up, big circle. And exhale, forward in front of you, rounding the back. This time, inhale, lifting your left arm. And exhale, keep sending your left knee away to the opposite direction of the arm as you twist. And just one more like that. Inhale. And exhale, twisting forward, folding itself. Now your left arm up. Exhale, keep pinning your left knee forward as you reach. Arm back, open, reaching your shoulders down. From here, keep your shoulders heavy. Begin to reach your arms up and away from the toes. Inhale. And then exhale, bending the elbows, bringing it down towards your hips. Inhale, reaching it up. And then exhale down. And you'll feel this length in your front of the chest, your armpit. And that's kind of what we're trying to do. And then continue a few more like that. Now from here, choosing how far up or down your elbow is, releasing your right hand on the floor. Option to have a pillow between your thighs. And we're going to stay in this twist for a little bit longer. Once again, to come out, draw your belly in, rolling through your upper back, middle back, and feel your lower back on the floor again. Resetting the position of your hips, your whole spine. And if you like, you can take a stretch before you take your final Shavasana, reaching your arm away from your toes. An option to have that pillow underneath your knees, back of the thigh. Using any blankets, cover for yourself, keeping yourself warm. And close your eyes. As you're arriving here, noticing the stillness that's residing within you. And feeling that depth of the surrender. How your body just does not want to move at all. And perhaps even inviting your awareness into your forehead, into that space between the eyebrows. Relaxing that space from the skin through the skull, through the brain, and feeling the softness from the front of your skull spreading and towards the rest of your head, your face. If time allows you, I encourage you to stay a little bit longer, a few minutes. If you need to get out, softly working with your knee bent and rolling slowly onto one side. Pausing for a moment on the side of the body. And keeping yourself soft as you press yourself up into a sitting position. Sitting tall through the whole body. If you want, you can do it with me. Bring your palms together in front of the chest. Reminding yourself all the things that you have to be thankful, you can be thankful for. Lifting your chest up into your thumb. Bring our hands in front of our forehead to remind us of clear and loving thoughts. The hands in front of our heart center to remind us of clear and loving intentions. And the hands in front of the mouth to remind us of clear and loving communications. Bring the hands in front of the chest again, lift the chest, and softly bow the head. Thank you for practicing.